glory is really, I think, on God's agenda, because Romans chapter 3 verse 23 says, all have sinned and now they come short of the glory. Okay, so the thing that is short on the earth is the glory. The thing that God promised in Numbers 14 verse 21, when the 10 spies came back and they were negative and 2 came back and they were positive, then God gave this promise to Moses when he wanted to destroy the children of Israel, and Moses said, no, you can't destroy them, because on the mountain you said you are merciful and quick to forgive. God says, then I will not destroy them because of your word, but as sure as I live, my glory shall fill all the earth. So God has got something on his heart that he wants to just show forth on this earth, his glory. So Isaiah comes and he prophesies and he says, all eyes shall see the glory of God. So God is really desperate to get his glory back on the face of the earth. Okay, so God appears in glory. God works with glory. Glory is the light of God. So Peter comes and he prophesies and he says, all the prophets of old prophesied and tried to investigate and look into, trying to find out for which time and which period the Spirit of Christ that was in him prophesied when he talked about the sufferings of Christ and the glory that should follow. This is what the prophets prophesied. There will be a suffering of the Christ that will lead to the glory of God. Now, we trust the sufferings of Christ. We talk about the passion. We talk about the crucifixion. We wear crucifixes. We put them in our church. And somebody will not do this, but they will have a picture of Jesus on a cross. Okay? Or they will sing about at the cross. It's the same thing. If you sing about it, write about it, picture it, or paint it, or whatever, Christ is crucified. And we all take the fact that he died for our sin. So if you want to testify to somebody what Christ has done for you, you would say, Christ died for me. You don't say Christ lived for me. We know he's alive, but the testimony is Christ died for me. Okay? It's funny that people say it, but they don't believe it. Okay? So here's our Christian testimony. Okay? What do you believe? I believe Christ died for me. You don't meet somebody on the street and say, I want to tell you Christ lives for me. You tell them Christ died for me. Okay, but why don't we take the full picture of why he died? Okay, oh, it was to take my sin away. It was to redeem me from this. Okay, he did redeem us from the curse of the law. He did redeem us from all sin and transgressions. He did redeem us and set us free from iniquity and unrighteousness. But here comes Peter and says, all the prophets prophesied in one direction. And this is the direction that even the angels are trying to look into and to see, when will somebody take this truth? Is there 1 Peter chapter 1. What is this truth, Peter? Oh, here comes Peter and he says, the prophets prophesied of the sufferings of the Christ and the glory that should follow. So what is supposed to happen on the earth after the crucifixion? Glory must come back. So people preach tribulation, they preach, persecution, they preach sufferings, they preach raptures, they preach heaven, they preach hell, they preach everything but what is on God's agenda. The thing that must come because Christ was crucified is glory. God didn't say let light shine into darkness. He said let light shine out of darkness. So the earth was void, empty and without form, and there was darkness on the face of the earth. Okay, on the face of the deep. That darkness was the cloud that God was traveling in. Because Psalm 18 says it, Psalm 97 says it, Psalm 139 says it, over and over, that God makes dark clouds his chariots. Okay, dark clouds are around his feet. God decided to stay in darkness. So that dark cloud was the fact that God is present, but he's not showing. Okay, so there's thick darkness. So God is here, but he's not showing. So God commanded light to shine out of darkness. So God cracked the chariots of his his way of traveling around. And he said, let me appear on the face of the earth. Light be, because God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. So God stepped out of darkness, and zam, creation happened. And God said, let there be light. First thing, let there be light. Because if you can have the glory, you can have everything. Because glory is all that God has and all that God is. That's why Moses said, everything you say is okay. But show me your glory. He says, well, Moses, you got me. If you see my glory, you'll know everything. So come stand by me, and if you see my glory, you'll be able to write the creation story from Genesis right through Deuteronomy. So God wants glory in the earth. So God commanded light to shine out of darkness. Now he has shone in our hearts the illumination of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we have this treasure, which is the light of the knowledge of the glory. The light of the knowledge of the glory. What is light of knowledge of glory? Light means to bring to light, to reveal, to bring to the open, to take out of darkness, to take out of the mystery, to take out of the treasure and bring it to light so that everybody can see it. Nobody lits a lamp and then put it under a bushel, but he puts it on a lampstand so that all that come into the house can see it. So God brought to light the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ, and this treasure is in you. So you got a responsibility to bring forth the very glory of Almighty God in the earth today. Although he wants to show his anger and his wrath on the vessels that are fit for destruction, which is Israel, he said he decided to rather, because of the vessels vessels of mercy that's prepared for glory, not to show his wrath. So God says, I've got a group which is natural seed. I'm so angry with them, I wish I could kill them. Don't be ugly. That was right from Exodus. God tried to kill them. Okay? And all the time there was some intercessor that said, don't kill them, and God saved them. Now God says through Paul in Romans, he says, I still want to kill them. But now I looked over to the other side of the fence, and there's another group of vessels. They are called vessels of mercy. And I have prepared them for glory. And because of that, I decided I will not be angry again. That's why God said, if you look into the heavens and we understand the Holy of Holies is open, and we go through that open door, which is the crucified Christ, and we enter into that throne room, what will meet us around the throne is a rainbow, which is the breaking of light through a prism or on water. Okay, so as the waters cover the sea, the knowledge of the glory of God shall cover the earth. So God says, you got a promise, which is a rainbow, which says, I'm not going to be angry, I'm going to show my glory. So because of mercy, church, God is not upset. He's about to break through glory in and through you. What is glory? When Jesus did miracles, he showed forth his glory. When he did the watering to wine, he said he showed forth his glory. When Lazarus came out of the tomb, he said, did not tell you that you will see my glory. Okay? But then the rest of the miracles, as from the blind man in John 9, right through John 10, 11, 12, he says, I must work the works of God while it is light. He that followeth me will not walk in darkness. So it refers to miracles as works of light. That's why Matthew 5 verses 16 and 17 says, or actually Matthew 5 verses 14, 15 and 16 says, you are the light of the world. A city that's set on a hill that cannot be hidden. So verse 16, let your light so shine for before men, that they will see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So light is good works, which is glory, which is power. So every time there's a miracle, it's glory. Every time there's a good work, it's light. So we got a responsibility to let our light shine. So the church must be filled with signs, wonders, and miracles. That's part of the glory. So God has prepared you for his glory. Peter says, the prophets prophesied about the sufferings of Christ and the glory that should follow. But 1 Corinthians 2 says the following in verse 7 and 8. If the rulers of this world, now the rulers of this world is not demons and devils. Rulers are the rulers of the synagogue called Pharisees and Sadducees. The rulers of if they knew, they would never have crucified the Lord of glory. For as it is written, Eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard, neither has it come from the heart of man the things that God has prepared for those that love him. But God has revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For no one knows what's in the heart of man except the Spirit of man. So no one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. But we have not received the spirit of this world, the law, but the Spirit of Christ, of the Spirit that is of God, so that we can know the things that God has bestowed on us. But the natural man will not receive the things of the Spirit, because they are spiritually discerned. But the spiritual man is judge of no one. But we have the mind of Christ. Okay? So we have the mind of Christ. So what does God say? We can know something about the glory, which is everything that God has and is, what your eye hath not seen, your ear hath not heard, you never thought. God says, Zam, it's there. I've already revealed it. If the rulers knew, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Sufferings of Christ and glory to follow. Sufferings of Christ and glory to follow. Have you got the context? Okay, so let's go to Hebrews chapter 1. In many separate revelations, which set forth a portion of the truth, and in different ways God spoke of old to the fathers in and by the prophets. But in this, the last of these days, he has spoken to us in the person of a Son, whom he appointed heir and lawful owner of all things. Also by and through whom he created the worlds and the reaches of space and the ages of time. We know how God created it with the Word. We understand Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3, that by faith we understand that God created the worlds by his Word. He is the sole expression of the glory of God. The light being, the outraying of radiance of the divine. He is the perfect imprint, the very image of God's nature, upholding and maintaining and guiding and propelling the universe by his mighty word of power. When he had by offering himself accomplished our cleansing of sins and riddance of guilt, sat down at the right hand of the divine majesty on high, taking a place and rank by which he himself became as much superior to angels as the glorious name which he has inherited is different from and more excellent than theirs. For to which of the angels did God ever say, "You are my son"? And again, I will be to him a father, and he will be to me a son. Mary, you shall call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sin. Isaiah 7, Ahaz, ask of me a sign that'll prove to you that I have spoken. King Ahaz says, I will not tempt God by asking a sign. God says, but I will give you a sign. The virgin shall conceive and bring forth a child, and you shall call his name Emmanuel, meaning God with us. Chapter 9 verse 5, unto us a child is born, a son is given, government shall be upon his shoulders, and he shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. But God, this is what God said. Mary called him that, Ahaz called him that, Josiah called him that. But God says, I'm going to give unto him a name that'll prove he is heir of all things. And by this name, the proof will be stamped upon him that he is now lawful owner of the whole universe. So this is what I will call him. Son. I shall be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. So I did speak by prophets, and this is what the prophet said. There's going to be sufferings of the Christ, and then glory must follow. So he, verse 3, is the sole expression of this glory. So the Word became flesh, dwelt amongst us, John 1, and we beheld his glory. The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And out of that fullness of grace and truth, we all received grace for grace. For grace. For grace. Verse 6. Moreover, when he brings the firstborn son again into the habitable world, so there's no other planets with life on it, he says, let all the angels of God worship him. Referring to the angels, he says, who makes his angels winds and his ministering servants flames of fire. But as to the Son, he says to him, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. And the scepter of your kingdom is a scepter of absolute righteousness. But as to the Son. So Jesus said, James, John, Peter, okay? Faith, hope, and love. Just come with me. And he took them on a mountain. And his clothes changed and became whiter than any bleacher on earth could make it. And there appeared Moses and Elijah, the law and the prophets. And a voice came from heaven and said, this is my son. Now hear ye him. God spoke to the fathers by the prophets, Moses the prophet, Elijah the prophet. But now he speaks to us by the Son, who is now heir of all things. So Jesus comes and he says, don't tell this vision to anyone till after my resurrection. Why not? Because in John chapter 12, here comes the Greeks to Philip. Can we see Jesus? She said, I must first go and die. Because God says, I don't want one son, I want sons. So I must first plant a seed of a son, so that I can have a harvest of sons. But to the Son, your throne, O God, is forever. So when he raised Christ from the dead, we were raised together, seated together in heavenly places. Where is he seated? At the throne. Where are you? Okay, let's just read on. Verse 13. Besides, to which of the angels has he ever said, sit at my right hand? Why not? Because are not the angels ministering spirits sent out in the servants of God for those who are to inherit? Okay. So, when God put the Spirit of his Son in our hearts, he made us heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ. So he didn't say to the angels, sit, he said, go minister to those who are now my heirs. How do they minister to us? He says, let's do it in chapter 2. Let's just do it. Since all this is true, we ought to pay much closer attention than ever to the truths that we have heard, lest in any way we drift past them and slip away. For if the message given through angels, that is the law. Okay, just look at this. Galatians 3:16 says the same, 13 to 16 says the same, and Acts chapter 7 says the same. The law was given by angels because God swore by himself that he wants to bless us. So to bring in the law, he had to use a mediator. And he says, I can't use my son as that mediator because he's going to leave you a testament. I can't be the mediator myself because I gave you a promise. So the only thing I can use is angels, which are ministers. So I'm going to send them in my hand to act as my finger and write the law. So the angels brought the law, which is a letter written on stone. So Psalm 91, he will give his angels charge over thee, that you will not dash your foot against the stone. So the angels is ministering to you, seeing that you will not stumble over the law, because you are a vessel of mercy, prepared for glory. So the angels, if you understand you're a son and a joint heir with Christ, God says, there's the angels. Don't worry about the law. They will watch over you, that you will not stumble over the stone. The angels are guarding over you. If you understand you're a son, you're in the throne, you're a joint heir with Christ, the angels will see to it that you will not stumble over the law. So don't worry over the law. The angels are guarding over you. You got it? Stone law given by angels. They know exactly how the law works because they wrote it. No, it was the finger of God. Oh, Hebrews as well as Galatians as well as Acts 7 says, in the hand of God the angels wrote the law. So the angels became the finger of God. Are they not all ministering spirits, winds and flames of fire? So the fire of God came out of the hand of God and wrote, I am the Lord your God that led you out of the house of Egypt. You shall have no other gods before me. It was the angels, the flames of fire. Verse 5. For it was not to angels that God subjected the habitable world of the future of which we are speaking. What? Angels have no authority over the creation. He says, for it was not to angels that God subjected the habitable world, but it has been solemnly and earnestly said in a certain place, what is man? The Son of Man, that you graciously and helpfully care for and visit and look after him. For some little time you have ranked him lower and inferior to angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor and set him over the workers of your hands. For here comes. For you have put everything in subjection under his feet. Now in putting everything in subjection to man, he left nothing outside of man's control, but at present we do not yet see all things subjected to man, but we are able to see Jesus.
That in order that by the grace, unmerited favor of God to us sinners, he might experience death for every individual person. For it was an act of God, worthy of God, and fitting to the divine nature, that he, for whose sake and by whom all things have their existence, in bringing many sons to glory, that he should make the pioneer of their salvation perfect, that he should bring to maturity the human experience necessary to be perfectly equipped for his office as high priest through suffering. For both he who sanctifies, making men holy, and those who are sanctified, all have one Father. Yeah. For this reason, he is not ashamed to call them brethren. For he says, I will declare the Father's name to my brethren. In the midst of the worshiping congregation, I will sing hymns of praise to you. And again he says, my trust and assured reliance and confident hope shall be fixed on him. And yet again, here I am, and the children whom God has given me. Since therefore these, his children, share in flesh and blood, in the physical nature of human beings, he himself, in a similar manner, partook of the same nature, that by going through death, he might bring to naught and make of no effect him who had the power of death, that is, the devil. And also that he might deliver and completely set free all those who through the haunting fear of death were held in bondage throughout the whole course of their lives.
To the Son, your throne, O God. Oh no, he's talking to Jesus. Oh no, he says he did not leave anything out of man's control. And he subjected everything to the Son of Man. But we do not yet see everything but we are able to see Jesus. So we can see how he did it, how he is doing it right now, to give us an idea. My goodness, this is why he came, to show me who I really am. And because of that, he's not ashamed to call you brother. Not half brother, not step brother, not close brother, not related as a brother, equal brother. Joint heir, same throne, same seat, same name. He says, those that are not a people are now my people. Those who couldn't call upon me will now call me Father. And I will be to them a father, and they shall be to me sons. And God says, my son, come, this is your heritage. You can rule over all creation. You are my son. So here comes John, listen. And he has given us a new name. But this is a new name. My son. So here's God's new name. Father. So he says, because of this that he's not ashamed to call you brother, Vili. And he says, if I'm a son, you're a son. If I'm on the throne, you're a throne. If I'm a star, you're a star. If I'm a Lord, you're a Lord. If I'm a king, you're a king. If I'm a God, you are a God. No, Kobus. Yes, Kobus. Luke was the son of, was the son of, was the son of, was the son of Adam, who was the son of God.